When I first started in horticulture, I thought hard work alone would get me by. But that belief led me to make some mistakes that were holding me back, and I didn't even realize it. In this video, I want to share these mistakes, how they've affected my career path, and what I'm doing now to fix them. I'll start off giving you guys some context so you understand what I'm actually talking about. So in 2023, I graduated high school and I was going to college in the fall for horticulture. And I worked that summer at my local golf course as the horticulturist and as a groundskeeper. This was my first ever green industry job, and I was totally terrified. I had no idea what to expect. I had no clue what I was doing, and I was pretty convinced that my boss hated me. After I'd spent a few weeks there, I did start to get settled in, and I did start to get familiar with some of my tasks. But the number one mistake I made there was not trying hard enough to understand the why. Not understanding why we had to do things certain ways. Not understanding why some turf patches were healthy and others weren't. Or some plants were healthy and others weren't. In 2024, when I came back for my second season of work, I had the knowledge of my first year of college with me. I had a better understanding of plant physiology, I understood soil, I understood water needs, I understood all the factors that go into making plants healthy. So my first piece of advice is to educate yourself and understand the why, because this is going to make your job 100 times easier. The people who advance the fastest in this line of work understand the principles, not just the tasks. After my 2024 season at the golf course, I went back for my second year of college and graduated that spring. And I spent the summer of 2025 working for a landscaping company. I thought that it was going to be easy because I had my golf course experience, but I was wrong. It was not easy. It was not an easy adjustment. It was not an easy season. Again, I really made the mistake of not understanding why we had to do things certain ways. So again, I just want to reiterate, educate yourself. I found that this is especially important because most bosses, most supervisors, most coworkers, unfortunately, they either don't care to take the time or they simply don't have the time to educate you on why. All they care about is getting the job done because that's their job. Your job is to learn, and part of learning is learning the principles behind your job. The second mistake I made was simply being too shy. Anyone who knows me will tell you that I am a very shy person, and I was even more shy a few years ago. When I started my first season at the golf course, I could barely even speak to my boss, let alone have conversations with my coworkers or feel comfortable asking questions. I unfortunately don't have much solid advice to overcome this, except for find your people or find your person. You need somebody you can go to with questions. You need somebody who can give you information. My first season, that was one of my coworkers who was kind enough to introduce himself my first day and help me with some of my tasks. The reason this person is so important is because they can kind of help you break the ice with the rest of your coworkers. It's so unbelievably important to break that ice. And looking back, I definitely wish I had made more of an effort to do it. I didn't really try to get to know my coworkers at all, and honestly, as much as possible, I avoided them. I didn't eat lunch with them. I worked on my own basically as much as I was permitted to do. So at the end of the season, I didn't really have solid relationships with any of them. When I went back to the golf course for my second season, I did a tiny bit better, but still none of those connections really lasted long term. And the other problem with being too shy is it's going to hold you back in your skills. I was afraid of looking incompetent. I was afraid of getting in trouble for screwing something up. I was afraid of embarrassing myself. And that, unfortunately, really held me back, because whenever I was given the choice, I really just stuck to the tasks that I knew, that I was comfortable with, and that I knew I could perform well. Because if I did my tasks well, I couldn't get in trouble, I couldn't be embarrassed. I will definitely not be making that mistake this year in my new job. I want to learn. And that mindset shift has been the thing that's helped me the most. Just looking at everything as a learning opportunity. I have this fantastic new position that I'm about to start, and I just get to learn so much. So I hope that is some help to you. Another mistake I've made has been not taking care of myself and not taking care of the other aspects of my life outside of work. I'll give you an example, again from my first season at the golf course. In case you haven't picked up on it by now, first seasons are very, very formative of your career. But anyways, going back to my 2023 work season, when I started at the end of June of that year, I still had my dishwashing job at a restaurant that I'd had during my last year of high school. And I knew that the golf course was going to involve some early starts, and the dishwashing job was going to involve some late nights. As such, my sleep was severely limited. I regret that so much. I just wasn't sure how things were going to work out at the golf course, so I didn't want to quit my restaurant job, screw up the golf course job, and get fired, because I was pretty convinced that that was what was going to happen, and then be jobless. But anyways, staying at the restaurant as long as I did was definitely a mistake, because I was going in there just exhausted, not able to concentrate, not able to learn at my full capacity. My second season, I did a significantly better job. But in 2025, when I worked for the landscape company, I kind of fell back into some bad habits. It just wasn't a great fit, honestly. The job stressed me out so much that I would just get home and just collapse and just want to rot the rest of the night. I didn't want to talk to my roommates. I didn't have the energy or the desire to go do anything. And I just was not in a good headspace. I haven't discussed this on here previously, but I did also really struggle with binge eating that summer. Just eating a lot of junk food, not making the effort to eat well to help myself recover properly from work, not taking the time to go to the gym, just not taking care of myself physically in an industry that almost demands that you do it. I want to make sure I'm very conscientious of that this season. I've gotten on top of my nutrition. I've kind of gotten rededicated to the gym like I used to be, and it's felt great, and I definitely want to keep that momentum going. I've also really neglected my relationships with my family as well as my friendships due to work in the past, and I want to ensure that I don't do that. Look, I get it. You're working long days, you're stressed out, and your social life might be the last thing on your mind. But even just taking the time for a phone call or a simple meetup in the evenings is going to make all the difference for your relationships and for your mindset. And your mindset especially, that's going to transfer over and help you at work too. My final mistake that I want to touch on has simply been short-term thinking. My first season at the golf course, I wasn't thinking about what I was going to do in future seasons. I was thinking about, oh my gosh, just get me through this so I can go to college. My second season, I was having a lot of struggles with anxiety as well as a lot of struggles in my personal relationships. And I just went through each day thinking, I've got to get through this. I've got to focus. I've got to do a good job. And I did kind of use work as an escape that summer. Who hasn't? Last summer, I kind of went back to that old way of thinking from my first season at the golf course. Just get me through this. Just get me through this day. Just get me through this hour with this jackass coworker who's driving me nuts. And I didn't really give much thought to what came after. Going back to one of my previous points, I also didn't really consider how my shyness was going to affect me in the future. This industry, at the end of the day, is built on connections, and forming them was the last thing on my mind. And looking back, I really wish I had put more effort into that. I also wish I had made more of an effort to just absorb more information, learn more tasks, like I said, because that would have made me so much more well-rounded, and who knows how good I could have been by now, right? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So I want to leave you with this. Think long-term, because this might be seasonal work, but it is not short-term or short-lasting by any means. If you're a green industry newcomer, or if you're simply a homeowner looking for some advice, I hope this video helped you. I hope you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that I can keep producing this content and keep providing the videos that I wish I had when I started out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.